One of the defining features of ancient Roman corruption was the willingness of senators and emperors and politicians to change constitutions, laws, checks and balances, and even calendars to ensure that they remained in power. If they saw that they were getting ready to lose an election, it was not uncommon for the rules to suddenly be changed to ensure that they were installed as they believed the election should have gone. I'm drinking a black Stag espresso with cream. Honestly, not bad for canned coffee. And we're looking at the second part of Job. I'm the caffeinated evangelist. This is a terrible idea. By the time we get to chapter 2, Job is just not having a great day. He's lost all of his wealth, he's lost all of his servants, he's lost 10 children, and he's sitting in ashes, scraping himself with a potsherd, trying to relieve the pain from head-to-toe boils. And then his friends show up. Eliphaz, Zophar, and Bildad. And they show up and they sprinkle dirt on their head and they start mourning and crying too. And then they show up to Job's house and they all sit there and stare at each other for a week with nobody saying anything comforting. Then Job starts speaking in chapter 3 and begins to curse the day that he was born, because it had been better if he had not lived at all than to experience this loss. His mourning is understandable. And even in that, Job didn't cross a line. Eliphaz begins to accuse him of, Job, you're not as upright and righteous as you say you are, because God doesn't do bad things to good people. Whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. Job, the reason that you're dealing with all of these problems and the reason that these calamities and the deaths have happened in your family, well, it's because you're not righteous, Job. Your sin has caused all of this destruction because, well, God does good things to good people and bad things to bad people, and, well, bad things are happening to you, Job, so obviously you're bad people. Job answers, and he maintains his innocence, and he corrects Eliphaz that, yes, bad things happen to everybody. That's life. Bad things happen to good people, and good things happen to bad people, and God is sovereign through it all. Eliphaz, that's not very smart. Well, then Bildad stands up to start speaking and says, Job, you know, the reason that your kids are dead is because they have sin. After all, you were offering sacrifices for them just on the off chance that they had sinned, so obviously they've sinned, and God has judged them for it. And Job answers. Then Zophar begins in, and, well, they go for 20 chapters and basically accuse Job of not being very righteous because, well, God doesn't do bad things to good people. This goes on until the mid-20s of Job. And it all sums up to an idea and a thought process that's still very in existence today that, well, if I do good things, God will do good things for me. And if I do bad things, well, God will do bad things. It's a mixture of karma and Christianity. This belief that by my righteousness and by my good works, not only will God give me, but God owes me good things. Job had the mentality by the end of his friend's speeches that, yes, God is unjust in allowing these bad things to happen to me. God has no right to allow these bad things to happen to me. It's the mindset at the center of legalistic religion that by my works and by my righteousness, God will owe me something. And we see it in our society that by my works and by my righteousness, God owes me good things and God owes me heaven. That if I live a upright and just and moral life according to my standards, well, God has no option but to give me good things when I die. It's the age-old belief that God is just going to put good things on one side of the scale and bad things on the other side of the scale and see which way it tips. And that's the mindset that Job fell into, believing that because of his righteousness and because of his uprightness, God owed him good things, and not just owed him good things, but owed him protection from all bad things and problems in life. And he began to believe that God did not have the right and that God was unjust in allowing these things to happen to him. Job started out with, "The Lord gives and the Lord taketh away, blessed be the name of the Lord." And he ends up saying, "I will demand of the Almighty an answer." That God is going to answer to me for what it is that he has done to me. That's a demand that God himself turned around on Job as we approach the end of the book. Be very careful that you do not fall into the trap of Job, into believing that because of your righteousness and your goodness that God owes you anything. That God owes you, according to the things that you have done, heaven or any good thing in life at all. It's one thing to mourn and to grieve when bad things happen and we have the loss, especially of family, as Job did. But don't ever cross the line into believing that God does not have the right or that he owes you some protection from all bad things in life. Thanks for spending 7 more minutes with me. If you've enjoyed the podcast so far, be sure to rate it, share it with a friend. I'm Matthew Kelly, the Caffeinated Evangelist, and I told you this was a terrible idea.